Hello, everybody. Time for
What's
the
going on?
Backforty. Back again.
Back to Backforty.
Let's make that our catchphrase. Backforty, back again.
Backforty back again. That is
it's
pretty catchy.
Episode
I like it.
4. I'm pretty sure. We're at that stage where we're just counting every episode, because they're all so significant. It's like we're doing it and succeeding, so that's good.
Exactly.
As much as editing and putting it out there is succeeding. So that's always nice. But yeah, we're super excited to get this started going here. So Anthony, why don't you tell us where you're at right now?
Yeah. Well, I'm not on the West Coast anymore. So I just got back to Philadelphia earlier this week. And so I'm out here for my last semester of my master's degree in clarinet performance, and we're going to try and power through and enjoy the next few months before kind of move out and start life after school, which you've already done that now for a bit of time. So
I have
you're ahead of me on that one. So I'm a little nervous. I've been in this cocoon of school for 6 years now. So
yeah, I understand, and I'm still in school a little bit, but no, I understand what you're saying. Out of school, out of undergrad, and I'm married, and doing life and stuff. So I got a job, all that stuff. Yeah. So yeah. Well, don't be worried, man. You're gonna do great.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's some natural anxiety around it, I think, but I'll tell you something. It feels so weird, coming here. On my flight over, I was thinking about it because it's I had a layover in Los Angeles, and then it was Los Angeles to Philadelphia, and that flight's probably 5 hours, maybe a little less. Yeah. But I just had a lot of time to think, and I was super comfortable in my seat. I only had one other person in my row, so I got the exit seat, which is really nice on Boeing 787, the Dreamliner, if any of you aviation geeks are out there. So really nice. Really awesome airplane. Yeah. But I got one of the exit rows, so extra leg room, even though I don't really need it because I'm pretty short. So that's not something I struggle with on planes. But yeah, the whole time to Philadelphia, I was just kind of thinking wow, I'm already only a semester away from graduating with my second degree, which is it's kind of crazy to think about because and we talked last episode about COVID, and maybe that's part of the reason, but it just seems like it went by super quick. So
and that's an accomplishment, man. Not a lot of people have advanced degrees.
I appreciate it.
No, it's really cool. Yeah. That's and that's a kind of, I wouldn't say it's a risk, but a big step. It's I'm choosing my direction kind of thing. So
right,
that's big of you. So round of applause for you, buddy.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. So can I tell you something interesting going on in my world over here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So, have you ever heard of Whole30? No.
Is that? Let me just take a guess at it. I might be completely off. Is that where for a month or 30 days you cut out certain things in your life and you just try to do it, stay sober or stay away from sugar, work out every day? Or
yes, it's basically, it's a diet, and you have to cut out. I mean, you have to cut out everything, Anthony. It's crazy.
Carbs.
Yes. You cannot, there's no bread. There's no grains in general. Okay.
Yeah.
Sugar, no sugar at all, unless it's naturally occurring in fruit. It's you can only have basically meat, vegetables, and fruit, and water.
How about dairy? Is that
no dairy? Nope, dairy's out. So basically, the point of Whole30 is to like eliminate any sort of food that might cause like inflammation or like a minor allergy kind of deal. So we're trying to cut all that out. I'm on day 3. And
is this you and Jordan?
Yeah, me and Jordan and my parents.
Wow.
We're all doing it, and it's already hell.
No alcohol either?
Dude, no alcohol. No sweets, no sweets of any kind. You can't my snacks, Anthony, are like pistachios and like meat sticks. You know? Which I like those things.
I should do that too.
It's actually I'm doing it because number one, it's good to just help with what does affect my body and how to, I want to feel better.
It's a cleanser. Yeah,
it is. It's like a detox, basically. I drink too much coffee, and so I think I need to cut back on that. That's allowed, actually, like black coffee, but like just really get my body in order, and that's number one. And number two is it helps you lose weight naturally because you're not eating any sort of dairy or sugar or carbs in large quantities, at least on the carbs part. Your carbs come from your vegetables and stuff. So I don't know, man. It's last time I did it, I made it 15 days and I gave in because I'm like, this is terrible.
So you're trying to beat that record at least?
I'm trying to like make it a little better, a little further. I'm trying to do the full 30. And all that. But I should say, generally, I don't eat much dairy anyway. Like, I'll have ice cream, right? But,
sure. I'm not a big yogurt guy or anything?
No, yogurt's not my thing. I use oat milk for, like, cereal and stuff. I'm not, I don't care for cheese sometimes, sometimes I don't need it on stuff. Sometimes I do. But, it's like, it's too cheesy. I'm not going to have that. Like, stuff like that. So I'm not like a terrible eater. So this isn't like a drastic, I gotta change my diet or my life's gonna end. It's more of a
you just want to, do it for the challenge.
Just do it for the challenge. It's gonna help.
It'll probably make you feel better.
Exactly. Yeah. My hope is it helps me with some energy levels and it's gonna make me drink more water. Because that's all I can drink. So
and water's good for you.
Exactly. So
that's for sure.
We're like constantly dehydrated in Nevada.
Exactly. No, I think the first time I heard about the like 30-day thing, maybe there's like a couple different variations of the challenge, but it was actually I know that Joe Rogan does it every November or October or something. I heard him talk about it once, like where him and his buddies like go sober for November, October, one of those months, and it's basically the same thing. No alcohol, no weed, because I know he's into that.
No DMT,
but no DMT, no carbs, none of that stuff. But well, that's really cool.
Yeah, man, I'm enjoying it so far. Like
so that's your little like challenge. New Year's thing that you're.
I guess so.
Maybe a little New Year's.
Yeah,
just happens to be around that time.
We wanna run a 10K this February too. So I don't know how.
Okay.
I don't know if that's even possible at this stage. Because
it's possible. It's 6 miles.
Right, and so I feel like we can do it. I feel like we can do it.
100%. You can do it with no training, but you should run a little bit so you don't feel like shit.
Yes, and I want to get in the habit of like training for something,
Yeah, no, it's good.
Because eventually,
the discipline of training, sticking to a plan.
Yes, because right now I'm okay. I should give myself a little grace because I got a lot going on. But generally, I'm like, screw running, or screw the time I was gonna do it. I'm just gonna, sleep because I'm tired.
Yep.
But which is normal in my stage of life. But it's also like I do want a regiment at some point.
Yeah.
just to feel good. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Where are you at with all your running?
I was gonna, so one of my goals this year is actually to run a marathon. Nice. So I have one picked out. I'm like 80% sure I'm gonna do it, but it's in June on the Oregon coast in Newport, Oregon. My sports center just went off. Anyways, it's pretty flat course though, which is nice. And although it's in June, which is the summer on the coast in Oregon, like it's probably like 70 degrees max. But since it's in the morning, it'll probably be a nice 55, 60 degrees. So, not a bad first marathon route. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, I've taken up this hobby jogger sort of persona over the past couple of years. And we talked a little bit about some of my running in the last episode, but, I think it's always been pretty consistent. I wouldn't consider myself very fast compared to people who like run in college or, run semi-professionally or semi-competitively. But, I try to run, at least like 30 miles a week, which I'm like running 6 days a week with one rest day. So like averaging about 5 miles a day, but I usually try and have like a longer run on the weekend sometime. So for marathon training, my goal / plan is to get up to like 60 to 65 miles a week. And over winter break, I was hitting about like 40-ish. So I'm trying to kind of slowly increase that. The only problem is in Philadelphia, like I don't really feel too comfortable like running by myself. So I sometimes go with the run club here, which I want to go with more at Temple. But I tend to be on the treadmill a lot when I'm at school here. So treadmills they can be effective, but sometimes it's a little bit easier, obviously, because you don't have like the wind resistance and stuff. But
is there any?
Yeah, I'm hoping to.
Sorry,
to build
is there
up
any indoor?
No, go ahead.
Indoor track at all? Is there anything like that?
No, not really.
Okay.
Gotcha. There's an outdoor track that's a little smaller, and then there's a full-size outdoor track. But yeah, like it's weird. I actually don't mind running on the treadmill. It's a little boring. You don't get the views, and sometimes it can be really hot, like in the gym when there's a lot of people in there. A couple days ago, I was in the gym in my apartment complex, and there's probably like 20 people. It's not a very big gym, but the temperature was probably at least 75 degrees, and I was just like sweating, like dripping down. I wasn't even doing like a hard run or anything. It's just some easy paced miles, but still it felt kind of shitty because it was probably like 75 degrees, and that time makes a big difference. So it almost evens out the wind resistance of the treadmill. So anyways, there's your running rant.
The most I'd run on a treadmill mileage wise, I think it literally was like 9 miles at one point. Which was a lot for me. But then like,
was that at Whitworth?
That was at Whitworth. I think it was something like.
Because I remember when. Do you remember when me, you, and Casey over jam term? I think this would have been 2019.
Yeah.
Maybe, but we decided we wanted to like all work out together.
Yeah.
And so we went to the gym, and I had you guys run with me a couple times a week on treadmills.
We went to the gym like 6 times a week.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like that was.
We go climb.
I lost like 15 pounds. Not even kidding. Like I went down.
When we were drinking like fish.
Yeah, we were. Lots of
we didn't cut that out. We went to the gym.
We just went to the gym every day. No, I remember I lost like 15 pounds. I was like 184 or something like that. And I hadn't been that small.
And normally you're like 200?
Normally I'm like 195. And so, but that, going into that January, I was 200. And then I I lost 14, 15 pounds or something. I felt amazing. It was so funny.
Yeah. It's crazy what we can do. And that's when Jordan was in Costa Rica, right?
Yeah. So she was gone. And so I was bored and I was like, all right, we'll just go.
Yeah.
We had the Jan term class was really easy for me.
Yeah.
Which for viewers who don't know, Jan term was literally like they just took the month of January and they did like intensive courses for 3 weeks. And you just take that one course like every day for 3 weeks. So I took listening to music.
I remember this stuff. Yeah.
And this is after I had taken like the music theories and the ear trainings and all that. So you
were a music major for like a year. So
I was and
pretty remedial.
This class was literally required to get my minor. So I took it. I took it. Easiest thing in the world. I'm not kidding when I say we went to the class and we listened to music for like 2.5 hours and then we talked about it after. So nice. And so, but with that, there was like little homework and all we had to do was like talk, work out, and drink. Like that's because that's
basically our January.
Yeah, it's the middle of winter in Spokane, Washington. What else are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
I played a lot of video games. Like that's it. That's what you do.
Yeah. That's pretty much what went down. Yeah, it's interesting. Just going back to the working out thing, I find it like sometimes people who consider themselves frequent gym goers or even like fitness people, I find it crazy how many people just hate running. And I think my girlfriend's a perfect example of that. Now, to give Emily credit, she did run a 5K on Thanksgiving, which is really cool. It was a turkey trot, but yeah, just like absolutely hates running. And I think for most people, it's because it does like really suck. And I think you can attest to this too from when I had you and Casey kind of run with me a little bit in January of that little term there, is like if you're not in like running shape and like cardiovascular shape, it fucking sucks. Like you run like for like 5-6 minutes and you're already like like gasping for air. But it's amazing how like if you are just consistent with it for a decent amount of time, like your heart and your body just like adapt to it, and your whole entire body just becomes more efficient at pumping the blood and getting oxygen to your muscles and all that. And yeah, it's crazy how 1 month you can go being able to run for 5 minutes without stopping, and then next thing you know, you're running like half an hour, and it doesn't feel awful. So I think that's what happened for Emily when she was decided to run for a little bit. I don't think she's going to run again, but that's okay because she's into the the lifting and all that. And I'll be honest, for me, I pretty much just run. Like the lifting weights and like all that, like I just haven't really ever done it very consistently, and I don't really know what I'm doing. So like I'm a total noob when it comes to that stuff. So, but it's kind of interesting. People have different ways of going about their business in the gym or keeping up with their health. So
you got to move to Las Vegas so we can go to the gym together. We got to take me and Jordan. And if Emily wants to go, she can. We gotta go.
Emily and I should come visit you guys this summer.
Well, I'm thinking about that. 100%, you should. Dude, it is so fun. Want to go to Vegas. You've never been to Las Vegas, right?
Well, I've been in the airport, but that doesn't really count.
That doesn't count, I don't think. I mean, it kind of counts, but bro, I mean, I'm serious when I say this is like party capital, and you love to party. So I don't know why you haven't been yet.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yeah. No, eventually you'll get over here. But no, man, I agree with you. I was gonna say about running, like, I think the part that people struggle with the most, yes, the like getting into it is hard. Like when you haven't done it and you're like out of breath already, it sucks. I get that because no one likes to not breathe. That I think that's definitely a part. But I think the other part is like it can get very boring very quickly. Like if you don't know how to, if you don't, especially if you need like stimulation all the time, like you're reading stuff, you're looking at stuff, like to like zone out and run. Like even with music in, it's like it can get tough at points, you know, if you're not used to that. So like people, you know, like half an hour run at this point, I'm pretty good. Like I can run my big loop in the neighborhood for half an hour. It's like 3.5 miles, something like that. And it works out really well. Like I'm not bored at the end, but I can guarantee you there's tons of people who'd be like, mile? That's so boring. You know, like why?
Yeah.
Like, that's like 15 minutes out of my day just looking at concrete, you know? I don't
know. No, yeah, I agree. But see, I find that interesting though, because I think a lot of like fitness companies and exercise equipment companies have kind of capitalized that. I find the whole like Peloton movement like so fascinating, where it's like you're staring at a screen, like biking or jogging or walking, and you got this coach that's like, come on, we got 5 more minutes, you can do it, and they're just like getting sweaty. But like the workout videos are not new. Like I remember my parents used to have like fucking VCRs of like these old, you know, 80s like people doing fucking like hot yoga and like dancing around Zumba and clapping and shit. So it's like, you know, I mean,
it's not new, you're right.
It's people like that. People like to be entertained is what I was trying to get at. And I agree, like running like outside, whether you're listening to music or not, you kind of have to learn how to, I don't know, just kind of, I'm going to sound like Aaron Rodgers or something, but you just got to like go with nature almost. And you
100%.
I find like listening to like your footsteps and your cadence pattern when you're running, sometimes it's like almost therapeutic, just listening to the constant, you know, that can be kind of like relaxing and soothing. But I get it, for a lot of people that might just be like torture.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree with you though. When you can find like the zen of when you're running, that's pretty great. It's like, okay, I'm in the zone.
You get the endorphins. And stuff. Yeah.
You're just going. And like, obviously you're still a little tired, but you feel like you're doing something good for your body, for your mind, even like all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, man. That's why Jordan and I are going to try to do a 10K this in February. It's like, that's awesome. We just want to be like healthy, you know, and not,
I
don't know. I look at my grandfather, he's got dementia, right? And, and diabetes. And my grandmother has diabetes, on both of my dad's side. And part of me
is that type 2?
So my grandfather's is type 1.
I can't remember the type 1. Okay.
So his is like I think that's genetic, correct? Right?
I believe so. Yeah. Okay. That's what I was trying to differentiate.
And then type 2, you gain by unhealthy habits and all that kind of stuff, which is what my grandmother has. And I am so scared, frankly, of obtaining stuff like that, because I see what it kind of has done to him, you know?
Yep.
Now that's not to say sometimes things are unavoidable, right? Like I don't know if dementia is really, you can like prevent it, but I think you can kind of help it, right? There's like being active. I know B12 is a big deal. Having enough B12 is good for your brain and your cells. I mean, so I'm like, I'm thinking about those things, and I'm thinking about how I want to live a longer life that's not terrible when I'm 70. You know, like hopefully I feel okay until I croak. You know, like, and so I don't know. That's kind of my mentality. If I can get a head start while I'm young, maybe that's a good thing. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy 100%. Though. Maybe I should just go live it up. You know?
No.
Just,
I mean, it'll feel good
go
now.
Go clubbing every weekend.
Exactly. Hey, can we take like a quick pause? I gotta go. I just want to actually throw my laundry.
Yeah, go do it
before it gets too late.
Go do it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah. We'll take a break. I'm recording now. I'm recording now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we're back. So I just tried to go do my laundry, and I had stuff in the washer, and then it's kind of the apartment complex I'm living in. The one shitty thing about it, well, there's arguably a couple things, but we don't have in room like laundry, like washer and dryer. So the whole entire hall shares like there's a laundry room with like a bunch of machines.
Yeah.
Well, 2 of the machines are out of order, and I had my stuff in the washer, and the dryer's out of order, and the other 3 dryers are being used right now. So just have a bunch of soggy ass clothes stuck in the washer for until those people are done. So that kind of sucks. But
dang, that really sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you hang any clothes?
Stuff that is a little that I don't want to shrink, I will. So I have a couple like button up shirts and t-shirts that are a little small that I do like just hang dry that way instead of putting it in the dryer. But most of the stuff I just throw in the dryer.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fully fair. I used to like throw everything in the dryer, and then I have a relationship where she's like, "Don't ruin your shirts," and I'm like, "Why not?"
I feel like it's gonna happen to me too.
Yeah, it is gonna happen to you too, bro.
I'm gonna be honest, like there's certain things that I'm just like not very smart about, and one of them is like, I'll be honest with you, like and it happened. This habit probably started in Whitworth, where like I throw all my shit in the washer. I throw a couple Tide Pods in, maybe 1, maybe 2, and hit the fucking button and let it do its magic. But whenever I go home or like, it's a different story. Mom's always getting on me about like, oh, you can't put too much or it's gonna like ruin it, like all this stuff.
Yeah.
Same with Emily. I think that so. I'm sure as a married person, you're
honestly
dealing with a lot of that.
At first, I was like, "What does it matter?" Like it's just dry stuff. And then like I started seeing the difference between shirts that were dried and then shirts that I hung up. And like the shirts that got hung up, the printing lasted longer. Like they felt better. Like I was like, oh. So I was literally just torching my clothes, and like that's not the best. So it was really good advice because it is
good advice.
Yeah.
I
was too lazy. Yeah, I hear you.
And I don't have Emily here to pester me about that. So,
well, remind me for your apartment there. Is it like a quad? Is there like 4 guys there?
It's a quad.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so basically we each get our own room. I would show you it. It's kind of like decrepit, ugly, like right now. But we got like a full bed. It's not that bad actually. But we got our little like closet area there, and I mean I'm not a big decorator type of person, so it's pretty plain as it is. But yeah, and then we have I share a bathroom with one of my roommates. There's 2 bathrooms though. 2 showers. We have like a small living area and a kitchen. So it's definitely enough space. But
do you ever get cramped in there?
No, not really. I don't like to stay in here though. Like in my room, I'm like hardly ever in here unless I'm doing this or I'm going to sleep. I'm normally out in the living room watching TV or I'm at the music building. Practicing or whatever going out. So, but no, like it's bigger than than the room we lived in. And that was supposed to be for 3 people.
Oh yeah. Okay. You're saying your room right now is bigger than our room?
It's probably about half.
Okay.
like my bedroom, but our entire apartment space is a lot bigger. Yeah.
Gotcha. So is it about the size of your room in the 5 Mile house?
It's a little bit smaller because there's no walk-in closet. If you took out the closet, then yes, it's about the same size as that. Without the closet, and I don't have a door directly to the bathroom. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Oh, that was funny. Remember how we used to we kept your. We kept.
We're just going.
So you and I shared a bathroom for the viewers. We shared a bathroom for junior and senior year. And there was an entrance from the hallway, and there was an entrance from Anthony's room. But the way it was designed was the toilet sits basically next to the
toilet
door
and shower
sits next to the door that opens into the bathroom from Anthony's room. And so
I could walk into the shitter from my bedroom directly.
I think we had that door it was like a code. We were like, don't open that door. Basically, because it didn't lock from the inside.
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah, it locked.
Right.
It locked from your side of the door.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Most of the time I can hear you in there now.
That's both comforting and disconcerting. But
oh man. The guys who lived with us will get a kick out of this. But I'm going to give you a little bit of shit. But the thing that I remember about that whole experience is that you, Spencer, for those people out there listening, love to take, maybe you still do, I wouldn't doubt it. Maybe we can get Jordan's opinion on this. But you take some long-ass showers, my man. And I get it. There's some people that can do that. I am personally not one of those people. I just like to scrub, get that shit done. And then, but for some people, the shower is therapeutic. And I think for Spencer, that is definitely the case. And there'd be some mornings where, I was trying to get ready and go to class. And this guy was in here, just kind of taking his sweet time. We used to call it I had a dumb name for it. It was like the 45, 60.
That's 45 to 60.
90.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot you had that name. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, no, it was...
James used to get a kick out of that.
y'all literally used to call me 45 to 60. That's that was my nickname.
Yeah, 45 to 60. Yeah.
That's so funny. Man. No, I do remember that. And actually, Jordan would second you now that she's living with me and stuff. She's like, you take so long. How do you take so long? She's like, I shave my legs in there and you take longer than me. I'm like,
so what do you do? Do you just like the water and you're thinking about stuff? And do you feel like you get creative in the shower? Is that what it is?
I do. No, I get, it's like how some people like the hot tub for a really long time.
Yeah.
That's like me. I or sit in the sauna or something. It's just it's the steam. It's the warmth. That's all it is. And then I'll throw on my major problem. The reason I took so long is because I will throw on a video or music or a podcast or something in the corner. I'll set up my phone somewhere on a dry spot and on a sill or out in the thing. And then I'll be watching the video while I'm soaking and I forget straight up. And I'm such an idiot this way. No, I do the same thing with a podcast. I've done that before. I know a lot of people who actually do that. So you're not, but I'm just imagining this in a 5 Mile house, right? Well, because he had that, window thing. Yeah, no. And it's not like I'm sitting there trying, I don't even, if it's a video, I probably just throw it on for sound. But I throw it on and then I forget to I'm just sitting there soaking and I'm oh my God, 15 minutes has already gone by and I haven't even put on shampoo yet. I haven't actually washed. And then I'm also extra thorough when I actually, I scrub my head for a while. I make sure to get every inch of my body.
Give yourself a scalp massage.
Yeah. And then then I condition after, like it's like a whole process. And so that's why I took
I got you.
It took forever. It still takes forever. It's annoying, but it makes me a less grumpy person. So that's good for everybody.
See, now one interesting thing I learned about showers this week actually was that apparently, I don't know how, this is like one of those dumb like Instagram reel things that one of my buddies sent me. So who knows like how accurate this is, but I heard that cold showers are actually like the new thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it probably sucks at first. I haven't tried it, but if you take a cold shower, apparently it releases like a certain amount of dopamine, and that is comparable to that of like doing cocaine, which is insane. I don't know how true that is, but like it was like sex and cocaine have the same amount of, or like a similar amount of like dopamine percentage that gets released, and apparently the cold shower has like a little bit more than that. So like people are like, oh, gotta take a cold shower now. And so it's like, I mean, I've heard of cold showers before because it's the same thing to like a cold tub or like an ice bath for athletes, where it cold water helps your muscles a little bit more or something like better for you. So I'm assuming that's along the same lines of thinking, but
it helps with recovery.
Apparently it's recovery. But yeah, apparently if you can like withstand the first initial shock of the coldness, better than cocaine and sex. So there you go.
I don't believe that, bro. if follow me on this. Me on this. If it was better than cocaine and sex, why don't people do it? Like,
because I think most people are scared though. Like, have you ever decided like, I'm just gonna take a cold shower? Like, I've never wanted to do that.
I have done that after workouts,
But you gotta try it. I don't know. I think you're capping on that one.
No, I do it after workouts. 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Like an ice cold shower.
I turned it to like, I don't know, right above cold. You're saying you got to go like freezing.
Okay, let me look this up because let's see.
Here's my thing, Anthony. While you look that up, I can't get like, if it's better than cocaine and sex, why isn't this like people's addiction?
Okay, so here we go. This is the first thing that comes up. Cold showers and ice baths reduce anxiety, boost energy and immunity, improve mood, and foster longevity. One study found a 530% increase in norepinephrine. I'm stupid, I can't read. Norepinephrine, and a 250% increase in dopamine in subjects who were immersed in chilly water for just a few minutes. There you go. I guess It does have some scientific backing. Maybe the sex and cocaine thing is arguable, but
I can't get my mind, bro.
I've never done cocaine. So.
I can't get this is what my mind instantly went to, like black market cold showers.
Black market?
like like people will go on
freezing the pipe.
No, so like people go to like shady places for coke and like illicit sex and stuff like that. Could you imagine? Like, because it's such a high. Could you imagine? Like people are going to like back alley cold shower parties.
I feel like that's McMillan Hall. No. Maybe they weren't cold, but there's definitely some shower parties that were happening over there. Maybe they should have made it cold.
Maybe they would have gotten more out of it, man. That's right.
Can we? Is this? I don't know if you want to get into it. We're just going off the.
Get into it, man.
Back to McMillan Hall.
Yeah.
I feel like we shouldn't. We're not going to use real names or anything, but you can cut this out if you don't think it's appropriate. But I just talking about the max showers because we're on the topic of showers now. Like, it's just such a fucking weird like concept to me. I mean, but I guess it's not. You played football in high school competitively, and I'm sure you guys did. You did group showers, right?
Nope.
Where you just
I
after
never
the game,
did it.
or
Nope. Never.
Okay, well there you go.
I've never
so that
wanted
makes it
to
even
be
more taboo then.
Anywhere naked around those guys. Never.
I feel like that makes it even more taboo then, because so for those viewers who aren't familiar with Whitworth University, I think in the first episode we explained a little bit about McMillan Hall, the all guys dorm. But while Spencer and I were living there, I think quickly we both figured out that there was this tradition of shower parties. Neither of us participated in this, but I walked in on one on accident one time, and you just had a bunch of fucking Christian men, young men, huddled up around a couple of fucking shower things, just standing there. Like, and it's just like, it's not after a football game. It's not after like some big manly thing. It's just like a bunch of dudes who decided like, hey man, let's go fucking take a shower. But here's the kicker thing: like, listen, neither me or Spencer discriminate. Like, if you're gay, if you're non-binary, if you're
100%.
Gender fluid, whatever it is, like, totally cool. But you have to understand that most of these people living in McMillan Hall are straight as an arrow Christian dudes, totally unfazed. Their dongs out, taking a shower together as a community. It's just the wildest. Like, I never understood it. What's your opinion on that?
Listen, oh my God. Okay, so number one, on our floor, at least, there was like one shower head that had a curtain. And I swear to God, I would wait for that one to be open before I would go in there. Like,
Me too.
Because I was just so uncomfortable showing my body to like dudes just walking in, you know? It was like... Like, you know, I remember, maybe I should, no, okay, I'll tell you. Like, I remember one time, I remember it was people.
You can use fake names if you have to.
It was people we knew. And like, I unfortunately had to shower. Like, I was in a rush or something, or like, I was way too tired to wait. Like, it was late. And I went in one of there was like 3 heads lined up, no curtain, nothing like that. It was just, you know, like a gym shower. I'm like, screw it. It's fine, whatever. And there's one dude in the other curtain. And then people I know, like 4 of them, you know, all my friends, a bunch of friends on the hall, come in, butt ass naked, and walk in, what's up, Spence? Let's take a shower.
It's hilarious.
Oh God, it was like totally on. It was like I was just so uncomfortable. I like was hugging the, like, you know, I was turned away from them because I didn't want them staring down there. I was like, you know, and they're all like, they're just like standing free, just saying like, "What's up, man?" You know, and talking and having full on conversations. And I was so uncomfortable, man. It was. Oh man, that's not the worst of it. That's not the worst of it.
I think, are we thinking of the same thing?
Probably we are. Probably. Go ahead.
No, I can't remember. It's just we'd have to have like a true Mac man on here to confirm this. But
we need Martin on here.
Seriously, or James. There was an incident while we were residents in McMillan Hall, right? That something got banned. Oh, that's what it was. So here's the other thing. Going off of that, there's this tradition of Mac birthday, is what they would call it. And that is when, if you consented, I don't know if they did that until recently, but that's good. you had to like sign up for a Mac birthday. Basically, at midnight on your birthday, a group of Mac men, like either fully naked or partially naked, would like raid your room and just kind of like have a little birthday rite celebration or birthday ceremony, whatever kind of crazy homoerotic that you want to call it. I never participated in any of that, but that's kind of what I got from it, is that depending on the person, there'd be little to no clothing, and they'd probably sing happy birthday or something like that, and maybe give you a little nudge or something. I have no fucking idea, but that was another tradition in our dorm. But while we were there, it got banned. Do you remember why it got banned?
I don't.
So I think this is where I might be mixing some facts up. I'm pretty sure there was a Mac man that got a little too excited at one of these. And he wasn't very, very much. So it's really obvious that he was really excited about what was going on. That's where they drew the line, and it was like canceled. That might be for something else. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I think I remember this. Yeah, that's
yeah.
Oh god. Bro, honestly, dude, that
it makes it even funnier because I'm telling you, like these are the most like straight arrowed people you could ever meet. It's not like a state school. You're at a private Christian university.
Yeah, it's not a frat at like Arizona State. It's like a small private liberal arts Christian college. So I know, dude. I know. That was there's another
the other thing.
Yeah.
We can get into it. Were you gonna bring up milk and cookies?
No. I was, but you go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, that's what I was gonna bring up.
We had another tradition.
You go on yours.
Yeah, we had another tradition. It was every Wednesday night at like 10,
I think so, yeah.
10 or something.
10 p.m.
Yeah, like basically the tradition is that our sister dorm, Ballard, which was it was all girls.
Mm-hmm.
They would bake cookies. This is hilarious. This is so like misogynistic when I think back.
Andrew Tate would love this shit.
Well, Andrew Tate would love this.
Yeah.
The Ballard girls would bake cookies. At least a select of them would bake cookies, and they would bring them over to Mac. And on the second floor Mac, there was this big poster that had a song on it. And all the dudes that participated, it was a lot of people, both of us many times. You go down to the second floor, you take off your shirt, and then you sing like an Irish drinking song, but it's for milk and cookies. So you're stomping and singing and holding your mug of milk. And the girls run up the stairs and lay the cookies on the table and then run off.
Yeah, literally.
And that was every Wednesday night. I remember the first time we did it. It was so fun. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so fun. You get cookies and stuff like that. And then the more it goes on, you're like, hey, shouldn't the girls be able to eat the cookies that they slaved over?
Licking the dough back in Ballard. Yeah.
Yeah, they lick the dough. Yeah, I mean, and
the cookie dough.
That was actually a big drama our senior year, where they changed it. So guys weren't allowed to take off their shirts anymore, which made a lot of dudes pissed, which is hilarious. It made a lot of
There's some rebellion.
The dudes who shouldn't be taking their shirts off got really pissed.
Oh my God. This is bringing back so many memories.
I know, right? I know. They got all pissed off, and then the girls got to join if they wanted to. But yeah, that was God, Mac was really weird.
It was. I mean, it was good. I think good. You participated in a lot of the. They had like Thanksgiving and shit, where like it was really a community thing. I think it was really good. I just never. I think I might have touched on it in the first episode, but for me, like I really did not embrace the whole culture of it. And that was nothing against the people. There's a lot of really nice people and people I still talk to today that I met in Mac, but it definitely had its just like really weird. I mean, I think it's weird, but to everyone else, I don't think it was as weird. But it was just really rich in tradition and history, and so it is kind of cool, though. And on a more like serious note, how that has carried on, I'm sure because how long was Milk and Cookies there?
Oh,
not that long, but I think it was
the 80s,
like 15 years.
Yeah, I think it was the 80s,
right? 20 years.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it was a while, like
and the tradition started wholesomely. Like I think it was literally like some dude and his buddy were like doing homework late, and his girlfriend at the time, who lived in Ballard, felt bad for him, and so baked him cookies and brought them to him, and that happened like every Wednesday without him asking, and then
exactly
it turned into like there's a song and this is the tradition that people do and blah blah, and Mac is supposed to go over and make like biscuits and tea for the girls like once a month.
We never did that.
I never went, and I don't remember going, or hearing about it. But otherwise, you're right. It's like Mac. It was pretty cool. It was the first building on campus, like ever.
It was.
So there's like classrooms in there.
It caught on fire, didn't it?
Didn't it
catch on fire?
Yep, it did. So I don't know. You're totally right. It was a good place, but I feel like I got peer pressured into a lot of events though when I look back on it. Like
yes, I always had a good excuse. I would just kind of like.
I know it's like I gotta practice. God. So,
exactly.
I couldn't get out.
I would just slip out. I think you were more involved there. That you had more of a connection with the people, and they wanted to capitalize on that. So
I guess so, man. I don't know. It was fine. It was just, do you remember the Halloween thing, the haunted house?
Oh God, yeah. So they used to turn it into a haunted house every Halloween.
Yeah,
it was called the Mac Haunted House, and the only shitty thing about that is, so we lived on the 3rd floor, and so they used the entire 1st and 2nd floor. But like, if you were doing other shit during that time, like you would have to kind of walk through like the haunted house to get to your dorm. And so I remember like coming back late from, I think, Emily's house one time, and I was just like, I really don't want to deal with this, but I had to walk through, and the people are out there.
Yep.
I'm just trying to go to bed, man.
Yeah, it was a busy time. It was like, yeah, I couldn't agree more, dude. Like, and everyone was like, hey, you gotta like contribute. You gotta help us out. I'm like, I didn't agree to this, man. Like I got stuff to do, and I don't know. I totally hear you, man. It was weird time, but grateful because of all that.
Yeah, no, I think it was good.
Yeah. All right, I got a topic for us, if you don't mind. Our last little bit here, our last little thing. So, I want to get your thoughts on this and see if this is surprising to you. So it's going to go a little deeper. I recently read a study from Pew Research. You know them at all? Pew Research Center.
I don't. How do you spell that?
PEW.
Yeah, you.
Research.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a fact think tank, like a research. They do like studies and statistics and surveys, that kind of stuff. They get, and it's for like the American landscape, basically, like all sorts of different opinions on things, culture, religion, finance, politics, all that kind of stuff, people's stances and stuff. So I saw they put out a study recently. I forget when, I forget what it was, but basically they said that the state of religion in the U.S. Is by 2050, it's predicted that it will no longer be a Christian majority country. It'll be a plurality, and the percentage of people who are unaffiliated religious is going to be above 50% of the country.
No, does that include the like people who are atheists or agnostic?
Yes.
Or are we talking about like Christians who are not affiliated?
No, I'm saying agnostic, atheist, or even just like the nuns, like nothing in particular, spiritual but not religious.
Yeah.
All of those categories, religiously unaffiliated, will be at 50% of the population of the United States. And that was
interesting.
That was really striking to me because the study also said that's a crazy. Now I don't have an opinion on it. I'm just curious what you think. The study also said that back in the 90s, something like that, like it said like 88% of people would identify as Christian, which that's a broad term.
Really?
Number one, that's a broad term because who knows what that actually means for a lot of people. But it shows a drastic change in our landscape over the last 20 years, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that. I'm not really bringing this up as a like religious debate topic. I just found it interesting.
No, I do think it's interesting. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go with it. But I think, yeah, it's kind of hard because I'd be curious to know the statistics behind just the different amount of churches and different amount of denominations that have risen throughout, the past few decades, even. Because obviously now you have kind of this new sort of progressive Christianity movement, which is non-denominational. Mm-hmm. So there's not like a specific denomination that it's tied to, but also like more accepting of LGBTQ things, because that's obviously a sort of a hot button issue in the Bible and in many religious circles. And so you have sort of this counter religious movement against more of the traditional Christian-minded people. And I don't know, I think maybe you would probably agree because you studied this in school, but it seems to me that this is just kind of a reoccurring theme in Christianity, but really in religion in general. Like there's certain traditions and rules that as society progresses and as the world becomes more advanced that, people don't want to stick to anymore. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I mean, I think some of it is definitely right. Like as technology advances, like there's certain things that you just can't apply the old traditions from biblical times to now for sure. So it's hard to interpret things in that way. But I think a lot of people are a little bit fed up with how maybe people who are our parents' age, or a little bit older, some of them really hold true and really hold stubbornly close to how they were raised in terms of religion. And I think our generation and even like millennials have sort of tried to push that boundary and sort of rebel against the status quo a little bit in that sense.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why you're getting more and more people who are just kind of like, maybe they were raised in religious environments, but they just completely rebel against it once they're adults because, you know, it either doesn't fit who they are or it doesn't fit their worldview. And so I know that's kind of a long-winded answer, but
no.
I think especially in today's age, like a lot of the things that, and I'm not saying, I think some of the things that traditional Christianity teaches people is really great. And I think if some people stuck to that a little bit more, they'd probably have better lives, right? But there's a balance. Like there's some things too that are like, I don't know if we really need to still be following that. But even that like ambiguity, that gray area creates a little bit of distrust between us and what we were raised with, or us and Christianity itself. And I think we're seeing the effects of that with our generation. Now, one more quick thing.
Go for it.
In my opinion, I think the bad thing about that is that like our generation and the generations that are coming before us too, like we are, being raised in this sort of technology age where there's so many things that circulate online and there's so much information and so many opinions and so many unfiltered thoughts that are just at our fingertips in a second. And I think that can be really bad too, because then you have a lot of people who get depressed and a lot of people who don't know what their purpose in life is or what they want to do. And they're just so overwhelmed with this overload of stimulus that they're just constantly seeing and addicted to. And I think that's really bad because that doesn't really land you in a very comfortable place. So that's my long-winded answer. What are your thoughts on it?
No, I hear what you're saying. I think there's two things I'm thinking about with this. So number one, I think the fact that you're seeing it now, like 2023 and all that, I think this came out in 2022. I think it makes sense to me, as in like that was the trajectory it was on. And people have become more open, affirming, and all of that kind of stuff over time. There was another statistic, like in 2010, only 48% of Americans supported gay marriage, whereas today it's like 75% or something. So it's just like huge explosions in just national identity and social stability and all that kind of stuff. It's been crazy. And I think one of the things that's most interesting to me is that traditional version of religion in the U.S., particularly Christianity. I think that, like, I'm talking pews and steeples kind of traditional. Like that seems almost that seems like people are just never going to go back to that. Like, I think there's predictions that those kinds of churches.
I know, but isn't that like the Catholic Church though?
So, well, okay, let me say it differently. So I'm talking. So we went to a school that was affiliated in the past with the Presbyterian Church, which would be a more
okay.
There's two strands of Protestantism in the U.S. There's the main line, which is like the older steeple, pews and traditional hymns kind of thing, and then there's like cool non-denominational evangelical, right? Like we have guitars and drums and a hip pastor and like, he's more like a motivational speaker.
It's like a production.
More production oriented. That's the kind of church I go to right now. I think the traditional, unfortunately, because I think it's a beautiful thing. Like you have churches and steeples and it's less about the show. It's more about, a faith-based thing. That's disappearing because, I don't know, whatever factors. And then you have the only strand of Christianity I think that's even going to survive into late 2070s maybe is going to be more emotional evangelical strand, right? But I think even that is dangerously on its way out. Like not in the connotation, but I think people they don't like that. They don't like maybe the emotional aspects of it or whatever the thing is about even that strand is people are not a fan of that. And so from my perspective, if Christianity, let's just say what Jesus talks about, kind of Christianity, if that's to survive, it's definitely, there's going to be some sort of adaptation to the new social thing we're a part of right now. Because I don't think anyone would really argue, like, they would look back at Jesus and be like, that guy was a dickhead. Like, I don't think people would say that, right? They would they would agree that he's, at the very least, he's got a moral center, and he's got a justice oriented, and he's very merciful and all that kind of stuff, right? They would admire him, but the tradition surrounding him, clearly a lot of distaste for that, right? So I don't know. I think if there is any version of Christianity in the U.S., it would be something more like that. But I agree. I personally, I think the isolation and the just like information overload of our age right now, I think we're going to see a big backlash in the future to maybe something like there's limited access or something like that. And I think it's going to be our generation after us that's going to like implement that, because they see how unhealthy the effects could. Like, and like when people were smoking a bunch in the 20s, no one knew it was bad for you. And then you find out it's terrible for you. It slowly got taxed up and made more taboo, that kind of stuff. I can imagine a future where like the gamer boy that plays like 16 hours a day is like a taboo, right? He's already kind of taboo right now, but like, like even I'm not trying to be mean, but you know what I mean? Like it's not good for your health, right? It's not a good lifestyle. And I could see a future like that where some, people crack down on internet access, at least for like younger people. Maybe that's...
No, I agree.
Maybe that's part of it.
Go ahead. Can we hold that thought for 1 second? I just have to go pee real quick. Totally. We can cut this part out real quick. Yeah. Totally. Okay. I'll be right back. It'll take like 5 minutes. All right.
We both got pee. Back?
All right. We back?
Yeah, yep. Hey, I just want to say one more thing, because I feel like I said a lot, but didn't actually say anything.
No, I think you said stuff.
Thanks. I think, basically, that unless Christianity adapts to the circumstances in better ways than just being a popularity contest kind of thing, like it's actually fruitful for people's lives, then we're naturally going to see a decline in religious and spirituality sort of feelings. That's my thought.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, you said a lot there. I think, the one thing though that I find interesting about there's this kind of this reoccurring theme that happens though, and not just in religion, but just in other aspects of society, where it's like the new age versus the old age. And I think we see that clash sort of happen a lot in the mainstream media, on television, on radio, in our inner circles, because of our parents, kind of like I was alluding to. And that's just something that I think is pretty normal for a society to go through, right? Like you're always going to have like some sort of rebellious group that progresses and moves things forward. You're always going to have pushback on that. But the thing that I think we struggle with now is we feel that as a society that we've maybe accomplished a lot in terms of things that we all as humans, most of us, most good people agree that are horrendous and bad. Like, okay, we don't have slavery anymore. We have more equal rights amongst people, at least in Western society, right? We're just talking about Western. Eastern, and that's a whole different thing, right? But in terms of Western society, there's been this sort of reoccurring cycle that takes happen where there's, some sort of progressive movement that catches wind and that rebels against the tradition that was set. And that's sort of how things pan out.
Yeah.
And I think where it gets tricky is that we're kind of at a point too where it's like, what is considered overcompensating or like overly, trying to do things to where it, makes it uncomfortable for some people. That's not really worded very well, but I think it's kind of a hard topic to explain.
Are you saying in this moment in time you sense it's a little too progressive? Is that what you're saying?
Nah, I mean,
not
yes and no.
Okay.
No. Yes and no. I think there are some things, topic to topic, that I think are maybe the traditional way is a little bit better. But there are other things where I feel like, we should get out of that tradition and move on and progress with the normal flow of how things are functioning. But it's really interesting because on a more deeper sense, like this is how Western civilization has survived for hundreds of years. But as some might argue, there's always an end to that too.
Yeah.
And it's, there's always people who predict the end of times and the end of the world and this and that. But it is true, like also in history, if you study it, like most really like glamorous big civilizations have their end date. And I think that it'd be very ignorant of us to not think that the Western civilization and thought process has its end too. And I think that for sure, this sort of conflict of how progressive can we get and the pushback from people who want to be more traditional too, and the push for people to sort of like progress on into other things, like that sort of clash, I think is the result of sort of the times we're living in now. And so
well said.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue, like going back to between with like Christianity too, like there's, I don't know, we're getting into a place where I'm not an expert, and I think you would know a lot more too, but maybe you wouldn't know some of these things either. So I want to be careful, but I think it's interesting when you look at Western versus Eastern, is that in Western society, we kind of reward and appreciate and are really accepting of progressive movements. Whereas sometimes, not in all Eastern culture, but you know what I mean? Like in some Eastern religions and in some Eastern families, or even like Asian things. Yeah, I mean, that's Eastern. But those traditions and rules are so set in stone that no matter, even this generation today is still strictly, they have to adhere to it. Otherwise they're disowned. And there's pros and cons to that. Like there is now with like the world we live in today, obviously, like they're influenced by the West a little bit and they rebel more too now than I think in the past. But for hundreds of years, like they were just accepting of that. I think a perfect example is like women rights, and like in the Middle East and shit. Like that was just kind of accepted. in their culture and society for a long time. And just now you're kind of seeing, because of the coverage from the Western side, you're seeing how people are sort of rising up against that. But I think the reason why it was so successful is because it's like a fucking business, you know? Like, no, like you have to strictly adhere to this. And there's a strong tradition. Yeah. But on the Western side, there's people like Calvin and whatnot who write, you know, different things against the status quo, and that's like accepted. But if you're in the Eastern culture, like you're just gonna get, you know, destroyed. Now that's where there's a great, like, I feel like if you were a Christian too, like, and you said some stuff back in the day that you weren't supposed to, you were gonna be dead too. So like, I don't want to, you know what I mean? But that was a lot.
No, that's an interesting point you bring up. I don't know. I can think of some instances in, let's take China. Have you heard of the War of the Three Kingdoms at all?
I'm vaguely familiar.
Yeah, so basically some dynasty was in control, and then two parts of China broke off. It was basically a big civil war over this territory and dominance of the country and stuff like that, right? Ideologically, politically, all that stuff. I forget who won, all that, but a new dynasty was made. And I think what's interesting, particularly about Western civilization, is that there's like this huge move to the new world, which that's crazy, right? Because you got this old way of looking at things moved to the new world. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be, I think the US in particular and Europe are going to be like, they're going to grow further and further apart over the years in ideology and stuff like that. Already you can kind of see that happening. I think a theme you can kind of see even in like, let's take France, right? Probably known as the most, today it's probably known as the most liberal of countries. I'm not saying that with connotation, but it's a fact, right? Like it's the most progressive of countries. They have little to no religion save for, let's say, the cultural Catholicism that used to exist there and still kind of does, right? Like they have a little bit of that. I mean, John Calvin was French, right? They have religious themes, but generally it's a very secular, humanistic sort of country. I would argue, this is my argument, so I don't know if it's right. I would argue that France has similar values to what they have always had historically. They've just adapted over and over and over, and they've had rebellions and rebellions and rebellions. But I do still think there's like a French identity. Am I wrong? You know, like they're about freedom and liberty, freedom. I don't know if that's like the way they would say it. But I think what I'm trying to say, similar to your last point earlier, I think things can be a little more cyclical than we imagine, even in a more structured environment. I don't know. I think what I'm trying to say is like, I don't know if Western and Eastern are that different. If they're that different, I think
because we're all human. That's what you're getting at.
That's
like
what
we
I'm
all have
to say.
The same tendencies. Yeah. No, I agree with you there. I think, but that's a good point. I think that take America as like a perfect example. I think the reason why I'm so pessimistic about that is because with like America, like why we can never be like France or something like that, is because there are so many people though that are deeply tied to either their religious affiliation, which influences the way that influences their worldview and influences their political ideology and decision making. I think that it's just no one in America can ever agree. And maybe that's a little bit easier in like a smaller country, relatively like France, where you don't have as many. Like I'm sure there's still outliers, but they probably leave. I don't know. But like in America, you know, like we have like, it's so big. It's not the biggest country, obviously, but there's like different identities amongst the entire country itself. Like you have the Northwest, and that has its own stereotypes and connotations.
Yeah.
You have the South, that's got its own connotation. You have the East, that's its own identity. The Midwest, the Southeast, whatever it is, and everyone is just so disconnected a little bit and we try to conjoin, but obviously it's a shit show when it comes to elections and we all see it, but it's because we're kind of different.
I know.
If you meet somebody from, one area in America to the next, it could be on the opposite side. It could be 100% different. And I'm not trying to say that everyone in France is the same or something like that, but I do get what you're saying. We all are, as humans, I think it's natural as it's our animal instinct almost to progress.
I agree. I think I don't want to be postmodern here. Postmodern person would say it's all power, right? It's all power struggle. And that's and maybe that's your belief, Anthony. That's fine. I don't think.
No. I think that's part of it, but not all of it.
I don't think it's all power plays, but there is a sense of if I'm progressive, I have a chance of overthrowing the dominant cultural identity and being at the top of the new one, right? That's kind of the hope as a progressive. And as a traditionalist, you're to hope more for this current status quo to stay the same because you're already well fit into that status quo, right? And so I think it's going to be natural wherever society you're in, because you're going to have people that aren't going to fit it and going to want to create something new. You're going to have people who are going to fit it and don't want that new thing. And so you're going to get, and then they use all sorts of weapons to get themselves there. I'm talking, people have used religion on both sides for many years to try to convince other people, right? So I don't know. I don't want to beat a dead horse, all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that in particular, our country, it's very polarized. Religion's kind of, at least it nominally, people actually identifying with it is kind of going down. There's not a lot of trust, like always, in the government, and there's a lot of vitriolic stuff going on. So I don't know where we're going.
Can I say one thing in closing too? I think part of the problem, whether you lean middle, left, right, doesn't really matter, or somewhere in between. So I think that we forget, and it's easy with how our society functions right now. I think we forget that if we just stick to core values that generally most people, and that's kind of a buzz term, I guess, generally most people, but I think most people would agree that if you just not even nice, if you're just a decent human to the other people around you, you're somewhat accepting, you don't over share your opinions or force your identity on other people, and you're just you go about your life in a genuine and honest way to the best of your ability. Now, everyone makes mistakes. I think if people stuck to that, then things would be, and it sounds cliche, but it'd be a lot better. Because the reality of the situation is whether or not you agree on the really complex nuances of conservatism or progressivism or Democrat this, Republican that, none of that shit really matters. No one cares about that. The only people that get to think about that and decide that are the people that we elect that are in office. But for most of us just living under that control, you just have to be a decent person to one another. And I think that really does go a long way. If you're not an asshole, you're going to get along with most people. Not everyone's going to like you, but I think that's a reality that most of us realize when we're pretty young. that not everyone's going to get along with you. I think if more people accepted that that's okay, and you just surround yourself around people who, that you think can make you better as a person and as a human, and then that's good. But we live, like you were saying, in such a polarized place where it's like you have to pick a side in a team, because that's kind of a trendy, like cool thing to do, especially in like American society. Oh, I'm rooting for the Patriots. Oh, I'm rooting for the Broncos. Like, you want to pick a side, you want to pick a team. Like, oh, I'm with the West. But none of that shit really matters at the end. Like, we all have a time limit. We're all kind of ticking time bombs. We're all going to die, and no one knows what's going to happen until it's done. So that was like a long-winded rant. I don't know where it came from, but I think that's what's frustrating.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's frustrating, is that if more people were just not assholes, then like a lot of it would be solved. And look, I don't need to know the nuances of everyone's political identity and ideology is. I think that that's okay if I don't know that as a majority of people.
Yeah.
But we live in a world where that is like encouraged to be shared, and pick a side, and have an opinion on geopolitics and shit. It's like, no, like, dude, I'm just trying to like pay the bills and live. Like,
yeah.
So
I think we leave it at that, bro. I
think that's good.
I think that's great. Yeah, man. All right. Well, man, 4th episode down, dude. We went
that was a
long
big one
today. Yeah, we went an hour and a half, I'm pretty sure. So
that's good.
That'll be good. That'll be good. No, that's exciting, man. So, all right. Next week or something like that. I don't know if I said this last time, but I'm going to try to get my brother-in-law on pretty soon.
Let's do it. Jake's going to come on.
Yeah, he had a business trip to DC, so he couldn't do it, but we're going to ask him about that when he gets on. So,
Sweet.
that'd be good. All right, y'all. Peace.